My mother-in-law replaced my curtains while I was at work. Then she tried to move a pregnant girl into my apartment. And my husband, he stood right beside her. This is the story of the day I finally said enough. I still remember the smell that hit me the second I opened the door. Fried fish. After a 12-hour shift at the hospital, dragging my feet down the hallway, all I wanted was silence, darkness, and my couch. Instead, I got the one smell I absolutely cannot stand, and the sound of someone moving things around in my apartment. My apartment. That detail matters. Keep it in mind. Laura, don't just stand there in the doorway. Come in. Don't be shy. You're home. The voice came from my kitchen. Warm, cheerful, completely unbothered. It was my mother-in-law, Diane. And the way she said, "You're home," it didn't sound like a greeting. It sounded like a reminder of who was really in charge here. I stepped inside and stopped cold. My curtains, the ones I'd picked out myself, the ones I loved, were crumpled in a pile on the hallway floor. In their place, heavy floral drapes hung from the windows, the kind you'd find in your grandmother's house from 40 years ago. Diane. I kept my voice steady, even though my hands were shaking. Why are my curtains on the floor? And what are you doing here? We agreed you'd come on. Weekends only. She walked out of the kitchen, wiping her hands on my new apron, wearing that smile of hers, the smile she uses right before she dismantles something you care about. Oh, don't be so dramatic, Laura. Those curtains were so dark and gloomy. It's like living in a crypt. I brought mine from home. Lovely ones with flowers. The room can breathe now. She waved her hand dismissively. And I came early because Danny asked me to. Says he misses his mother's cooking. I turned to look at my husband. Daniel was sitting at the kitchen table, eating, quietly, happily. He hadn't even looked up when I walked in. Laura, don't start. Mom's lonely, and we have a 2-bedroom. There's plenty of space. Just be patient. She means well. Be patient. Something snapped inside me, quietly, but completely. Daniel. My voice was calm, dangerously calm. This is my apartment. My grandmother left it to me before we were even married. We agreed this was our space, our rules. So why am I supposed to tolerate someone else's furniture and someone else's decisions in my own home? Diane immediately clutched her chest and leaned against the doorframe like she was about to faint. You see, son, I work myself to the bone for this family, and she calls me a stranger. It's not your son's home, I said. It's mine. The room went very quiet. Then I said the words I should have said a long time ago. Diane, pack your things. Daniel, take your mother home. Now. Daniel stood up, but he didn't walk toward me. He walked toward her, stood right beside her, looked at me like I was the problem. Either we all live here together peacefully, or I leave with her. He said it like he expected me to panic, to cry, to beg him to stay. I looked at him, really looked at him. At 5 years of marriage, 5 years of, waiting for him to choose me, just once, flashing past in a single gray second. Then go, I said. They left that evening. When the door finally clicked shut, I turned the lock and pressed my forehead against the cold wood. I stood there for a long time. The next morning, I changed the locks. I spent the whole day reclaiming my apartment, throwing out Diane's curtains, scrubbing the kitchen, airing out every room. By evening, I was exhausted. But for the first time in years, I could breathe. Then the doorbell rang. I froze. I looked through the peephole and relaxed. It wasn't them. It was a girl, young, maybe 19, wearing a thin coat, holding a worn bag, eyes wide and frightened. "Hi," she whispered. "Is Daniel home? Or Diane? They said I could stay here for a while. I don't have anywhere else to go." The hallway seemed to tilt. "Who are you?" I asked. She looked down, and that's when I noticed it. The way her hand drifted, almost, without thinking, to her stomach. A small gesture, automatic, the kind you don't fake. "I'm Amy," she said quietly. "Daniel told me things were over between you two, and Diane said she'd set me up here temporarily, just until the baby is born. My husband, my faithful Daniel, he hadn't just brought his mother here. He had been building a new life in my apartment behind my back with a 19-year-old girl who was carrying his child." I took a breath. "Come in, Amy," I said. "Let's talk." She told me everything. How Diane had been taking her to prenatal appointments. How she told Amy the apartment was the family's nest. And that I was just temporarily occupying it. How Daniel had called her after I kicked him out. And then switched off his phone. She had nowhere to go. She had come here because Diane had promised her. I was still sitting there when the doorbell rang again. Loud, insistent. I knew that ring. I opened the door, chain on, and saw them both. Daniel hanging back, Diane front and center, already in attack mode. "Well, Laura, have you come to your senses? Let us in. Amy is coming to stay. So, go ahead and clear out the small bedroom. We're turning it into a nursery." I unhooked the chain, stepped out into the hallway, looked her dead in the eye. "Let me be very clear," I said. "This apartment is mine. I owned it before we ever got married. Daniel has no legal claim to it. None. And Amy, she's sitting at my kitchen table right now crying because you made her promises you had no right to make." She tried to push past me. I blocked her. "Daniel?" I didn't even look at him. "You wanted a family? There it is. A pregnant girl with nowhere to live. And your mother, who made it all happen. Take them both and go, because this is mine." A minute later, Amy appeared in the doorway. She looked at Daniel, at his mother, and I watched something shift in her eyes. "Daniel, you said—" she started. "Quiet," he snapped. "Let's go." I watched them walk down the stairs. Diane first, still cursing under her breath. Then Daniel, staring at the floor. Then Amy, wiping her face with the back of her hand. I went inside, closed the door, and the silence that followed wasn't empty. It was clean. I filed for divorce the following week. Daniel called a few times, once to ask if I'd put his name on the baby's paperwork for government benefits. I blocked him. Diane waited for me outside my building twice after I mentioned a harassment report. She stopped. Last I heard, they're all living together now. Daniel works a labor job. Amy had a boy. They fight constantly. And Diane has already decided that Amy, too, is ungrateful and completely beneath her son. As for me, I sleep through the night now. I wake up when I want. I eat what I like. My curtains are back on the windows, and my apartment has never felt more like home. If you made it to the end, thank you so much for watching. It really means everything to me. Now I want to hear from you. Drop your age and where you're watching from in the comments below. I love seeing where my viewers are from. And if this story resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. See you in the next one.